Hello there, welcome back to profneel. It's a pleasure to have you here. Storytelling, food and beverage service lessons at IHMs. The first year students, when they join, in one of the first few classes, they are introduced, after being introduced to the food and beverage service department. One of the first chapters they're introduced to is, one of the first chapters that is brought on is Introduction to Beverages. This types of the definition of beverage, types of beverages. Normally, a beverage is a very dull and dry chart in which the beverages are divided into two: non-alcoholic and alcoholic. The non-alcoholic includes refreshing, that is water, fresh juices, aerated water; nourishing, the boost, Horlicks, Nutrimol, etc., along with milkshake, etc. And in refreshing, you may also add tender coconut water, or you can also add that in. It depends on refreshing or nourishing. In stimulating, tea, coffee, cocoa, that's it. And then you have alcoholic, beer, spirits, wines. Basic three differences. Out of that, you take out your cocktails, liqueurs, etc. later. But this is the basic thing, and the structure continues for a long time, and it still goes on. But then my video on this is primarily do with why can't we do storytelling on this to make this more interesting for students, like as we tell stories for wines when we teach wines to students. Is it because the wine stories are handed down to us, we don't need to do any labor? While here we have to labor, we have to think creatively. Then here, instead of giving a problem only, I'm giving a solution. Suppose if I was teaching beverages outside of by saying, okay, students, let's now remember these students are all educated, intelligent boys and girls who come from after a joint entrance examination. So they are well read, they're knowledgeable. Ask them a question. Which is the beverage you think is the one that catalyzed, that acted as a catalyst to start a revolution, a war of a country to throw off its colonizer? Stop there, let them give them the time to think. Then maybe after, if they're lost for the answers, you give them a hint. The United States of America, even if they are a little lost now, give them a hint as a teacher. Mention Boston Tea Party. Many of them could recall that. Now, don't detail the Boston Tea Party. You're giving too much of spoon feeding. Now, the joy of questioning is important. Now, but the tea is a product of China, and the British were the colonizers of the USA. So how does British and tea fit into this? So that's how the storytelling starts. We all teach the students, and we all have learned that how the Chinese emperor went on a hunting expedition, and there when his cooks and kitchen staff were boiling a cauldron of water, some tea leaves fell into it, and the result was tea. He liked it very much. The Chinese started trading tea. The British developed a taste for it and started trading with the Chinese. Remember that time the British were occupying India, the subcontinent as a whole. Now the British wanted to trade it with China for porcelain, silk, and primarily for tea. They loved the tea. But China demanded payment in silver. And very soon the British realized that their payment in silver was declining. The silver reserves are declining. So they thought of a nice idea. They started bartering tea and other items for opium, which is grown in the subcontinent. The Chinese soon got addicted to it, and they also used it for medicinal purposes. The opium war and the tea war started. Now, what the British did was something else that fueled the revolt in the independence war in the US. They bought the tea from the Chinese and then sold it at a premium in the colonies. That's what they did in US. That ignited the Boston Tea Party and led to the American War of Independence. Now, stop here. You have to. Now, the students are interested to learn about beverages because you just given them a hint of one beverage, story of one beverage. You put that question mark in the head. That there's much more to learn than just a format. But you've done your homework and they'll be impressed with it. The Boston Tea Party, and then you leave it there. Let them ask you, so what is the deep Boston Tea Party? And then you might give a hint or drop a hint, and then let them find out on their own. Because let them, when they find out on their own, they'll remember for a lifetime. If you spoon feed them, they'll not remember for next moment. They'll forget the next moment. Now, the next you break the rhythm here, and ask the students, why do we find a Tamil diaspora in Sri Lanka? A lot of Tamilians in Sri Lanka. Why particularly in Sri Lanka? So give that question to them. It's a reference to context. And if they fail to come with the answer, you tell them. Give them another story. Okay, it's not uncommon to find Indian names, people with Indian names in the West Indies, the Caribbean islands, bordering the United States, somewhere near the United States. And somewhere in the 70s, there was a gentleman named Alvin Kalicharan, a stylish left-handed batsman who used to play for West Indies. Kalicharan is a typical Central India name. Now, how come the name came there in West Indies? Now link West Indies to Sri Lanka. The British and their indentured labor, they send these people as indentured labor to Sri Lanka for the tea plantations, for the tea gardens, and to the West Indies for the sugar plantations. And sugarcane is basically the source for making rum, or you make it out of molasses, sugar molasses. So that you say you discuss it when you come to alcoholic. So you build up a story for the rum already. And then you continue on to the Tamil link to tea. And you say, Sri Lanka's national soup is the mulugthwani soup. Now, why am I bringing this here? Ask the students. Mulugthwani soup. Now, what does it mean? Mulaga in Tamil means pepper, and tanni means water. So, pepper water. Now, all of you tasted the rasam, the typical Tamil accompaniment that is served after sambar with the rice. Mulugthwani is nothing else but rasam. So the Tamil culture took it there to Sri Lanka, and that's where it became the Sri Lankan non-vegetarians. It became the Sri Lankan soup. There are two varieties of the rasam, of the Mulugthwani soup. There's a non-veg variety also, but in India we only have the vegetarian variety. Now see how you can make your classes interesting by storytelling. Now here we go, storytelling again. We talk about the West Indies. You already informed them about the West Indies, about Sri Lanka. You opened up the world for them, history. You opened up everything. You brought in the world into the classrooms. Now they have a very healthy respect for you as a teacher. So once you do this, instead of just giving a structure or a layout, the student gets enriched, and so do you. And isn't that the purpose of teachers like us? Now, coming down again to mulugthwani soup, you tell them that when it comes to soup section, when you discuss about soup chapters, I'll detail more about this. So that leaves them in suspense. that you are prepared for soups also. Likewise, they'll expect a story. Now, this is what the joy of questioning is all about. You're putting that, you're inculcating the joy of questioning the students. And that itself takes them on a quest to question everything, its history, its ancestry, its geopolitics, everything regarding that. And they don't need you then. They'll be inspired to do it on their own in the library, with Google, social media, everywhere. During our times, we didn't have social media. We had to go to the libraries and learn all this. So, embrace the twist to enjoy the turn. Thank you.